What is up, guys? I hope your week's been well. I know mine certainly has. I got to go to Boston Fan Expo in, well, Boston, Massachusetts. And I went to this con once before back in 2018 where I met Paul Rubens, Carrie Elwes, and Chris Sarandon. This is definitely one of the bigger cons that I've been to, and I can actually kind of compare it to New York Comic Con, which is kind of the big kahuna con, if you know what I mean. But Boston Fan Expo, like New York Comic Con, was really heavy on vendors and guests, although New York Comic Con was maybe, I would say, double the size of this, although just as crowded. However, something that I picked up on in 2018 at Boston Fan Expo still applied to 2021 Boston Fan Expo. You could never really predict who was going to have a long line and who was going to have a really short line. Ray Fisher, who was Cyborg in Justice League and the Snyder Cut of Justice League, had almost no line, just like Chandler Riggs, Carl from The Walking Dead. However, Ron Perlman had a huge line, and Brendan Fraser had one of the biggest lines I've ever seen at a con ever. Brendan Fraser's line actually did something kind of smart. They had this virtual queue, so you didn't have to wait in line for hours. They would give you a ticket that had a number on it, like 180, and occasionally on this whiteboard they would write down numbers 100 and below get in line, numbers 200 and below get in line, and I thought that was really smart, and I really hope more cons pick that up. With all the vendor tables that they had, I actually didn't buy anything, which honestly I'm really surprised about, but I did get 5 autographs, and I'll show you guys them. The first person that I met was also the person that I easily wanted to meet the most because I got a really cool custom photo made for them. Katee Sackhoff from the movie Halloween Resurrection. I ordered the photo off Snapfish and it said that it was going to come blurry, but this doesn't look blurry at all. Maybe on camera it does, but in person it looks really good. She wrote, "To Cameron, don't lose your head," which I think is kind of funny because she's holding her severed head, and then signed Katee Sackhoff and wrote her character name Jen. Being that she was a really big character in The Mandalorian, it's not hard to believe that she had a pretty decent sized line, but she had really nice pacing in where she managed to talk to everyone and have a special conversation, but not keeping the line from moving. So you didn't really stand still in the line that long, and when you got up there, you didn't feel rushed, and I think that's really hard to balance. While I, like most other people, am not a fan of Halloween Resurrection, I really like her in it. She made a YouTube video dissecting her performance and special effects used in the movie. She was $80 an autograph, which I don't think is that bad, especially because, you know, you get to talk with her and you get an autograph from a pretty big celebrity. Definitely an up-and-coming one. So yeah, she was really cool, and I'm really happy I met her. She was the first person I met, and already I knew that she was the VIP of this con. The next person that I met was also the most expensive autograph that I've ever bought at a con. Christopher Eccleston from the movie 28 Days Later. Before meeting him, I did a little research and I found out that he's kind of notorious for having a super expensive autograph price. Peter Capaldi, who is also Doctor Who, usually has $70 to $80, and he was $90. He was another person that I was really surprised that he had no line, but then again, the price tag probably scared a lot of people off. He wrote "To Cameron" and then signed Christopher Eccleston. It's a little hard to see on camera probably, but then again, it's also a little hard to see in person. I think the marker was dying out. So I'm a little disappointed that my $90 autograph doesn't really show up. Something else that surprised me about Christopher Eccleston was for $90, he didn't really talk that much. I just handed him the thing and said, "Oh, I love this movie," and he's like, "Oh, thanks," and then signed it and moved on to no one else because no one else was in line besides me. The next autograph that I got was really important to me. Kevin Conroy from Batman the Animated Series. For those of you who don't know, I have this really big book of a bunch of Batman signatures, and the kind of ironic thing is that I didn't have a single actor who played Batman. Of all the Batman signatures I have, Batman the Animated Series is easily the biggest collection, and I didn't even have Batman from Batman the Animated Series, so it was really awesome to get him. He was $40 an autograph, and for someone who voiced Batman for the past 30 years, I don't think that's that bad at all. He didn't talk that much, but then again, he had a big line, so I could see that he didn't want to have an hour-long conversation with each person. He wrote "To Cameron" and then signed Kevin Conroy, and then on the cape, he wrote Batman, which I thought came out really cool. I kind of like the character name on the cape. So yeah, Kevin Conroy was nice, didn't talk that much, but then again, for a long line, what do you expect? The final 2 people that I met, it made it a little easier for me because they signed the same thing, but then again, it's huge. I met Chandler Riggs and Robert Patrick from The Walking Dead. It's more or less impossible to fit the whole poster and frame, but luckily I can fit the 2 signatures. That's Robert Patrick, who played Maze in one episode of The Walking Dead. He was also the T-1000 in Terminator 2, which I would say 99% of the people were meeting him for. He was $60 an autograph, but I wouldn't even say I met him. I would call it the Robert Patrick experience because he was a really weird, quirky, funny, nice guy. When I walked up to his table, he offered me some hand sanitizer, and I said, "Oh no, thank you, I just washed my hands." And he's like, "Oh no, I didn't mean for washing your hands, I meant for snorting." So that really already set the mood on what this was going to be like. Of all the celebrities that I met in my life, Robert Patrick is easily the most memorable because just of how taboo of a personality he had, and $60 an autograph for the Robert Patrick experience is worth it any day of the week. The final person that I met was Chandler Riggs, who plays Carl in The Walking Dead, so one of the biggest characters on the show. Even with how big he is on the show, I was really surprised that he didn't have a line at all. I was the only person in his line, just like Christopher Eccleston. Although, unlike Christopher Eccleston, he was a lot more affordable. He was only $60 an autograph. He signed and then wrote his character named Carl. And when I was with him, I said, "I think your character had the most iconic moments in the show." I won't spoil them for you guys, but Carl definitely has some iconic moments with, you know. He was friendly, but he definitely moved people along, even though he didn't have that long of a line. But if you like The Walking Dead, I would say meet him because he's a really cool and down-to-earth guy. Alright, well those were all my autograph pickups from Boston Fan Expo. I will definitely be returning next year because I had the time of my life. I love big cons just as much as I like the small ones. And you just meet a lot of nice people when you're waiting in line. I think I might be taking a break from cons for a little while just because I don't think my college wallet can handle it. But regardless, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.